So Bob, could you please explain the difference between an EMT and a paramedic?
I can. An emergency medical technician is a basic life support provider. The course for an emergency medical technician or EMT is 1 semester, approximately 200 hours. An emergency medical technician learns the basics of patient assessment, vital signs, basic bleeding control, airway control, some OB/GYN, obstetrics and gynecology, splinting. So it's the basics of emergency medicine. And it's the basic provider that can function on an ambulance. For a paramedic, now we're talking about something that is advanced life support, and it builds on the emergency medical technician. So you have to be an emergency medical technician before you can become a paramedic. The paramedic learns advanced history and physical, so we take the patient assessment to a higher level. We learn advanced airway management. In emergency medical technician, airway management, it would include positioning the airway, using basic adjuncts like an oropharyngeal or a nasopharyngeal airway, good bag valve mask ventilations. But as a paramedic, we would learn to use things like an endotracheal tube or a rescue airway if an endotracheal tube won't work. And ultimately, if either one of those adjuncts won't work, then we would do a surgical airway to open up a patient's airway to give them a path to breathe properly. More emphasis on cardiology, learning how to read EKGs, being able to use things like defibrillators, cardioverters, and those types of tools. The administration of IV fluids, medications, and it's more of a critical thinking and clinical decision-making level than at the EMT or emergency medical technician level. So, because you have more advanced knowledge now, and because you are dealing with patients who are typically sicker than what an EMT might deal with, you need to have that ability to think critically, think clinically, and be able to make a decision as to what you're really dealing with in terms of, for instance, as an example, the difference between an asthma attack or a congestive heart failure. Sometimes the two can look very much alike, and a good paramedic will be able to tell the difference between the two and treat them appropriately. So that's the difference, the major differences between an emergency medical technician and a paramedic.
Now, if I had no experience whatsoever and wanted to take an EMT class, how would I go about doing that?
At the Community College of Baltimore County, it's very easy. It's an open enrollment course, meaning that there's no application required other than to the college. You have to apply to the college, which is very easily done online. And then you register for one of the 3 sections of emergency medical technician that we offer at CCBC. We have a morning course Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 until 1. We have an evening course Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6 until 10 here on the Essex campus. And then at the Catesville campus, we have the Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6 until 10 section. So regardless of what side of the county you're on, east side or west side, we offer an emergency medical technician course, and it's completely open enrollment. It requires that you be over the age of 18, have a high school diploma or a GED, and that you can lift 125 pounds independently. Those are the only prerequisites. You have to take no other classes in order to take an emergency medical technician course. It's 1 semester. At the end of the course, you are eligible for both state and national certification as an emergency medical technician.
Now, I've heard you had to be affiliated with either a commercial ambulance or fire department. Could you explain what that means?
The state of Maryland requires, in order for you to be an emergency medical technician or a paramedic, that you have an affiliation, a membership, if you will, for put it into layman's terms, with a emergency medical services operational program, which could, as you pointed out, could be a commercial concern. The commercial concerns are the companies, the EMS companies that typically are responsible for moving patients between hospitals, between doctors' offices and hospitals, and vice versa. Or you can join a local volunteer EMS company in your locale or your jurisdiction, or such as in your case, after you graduated, you could apply to one of the career services throughout Maryland and get a job as an emergency medical technician or a paramedic and gain affiliation that way. But in order for you to actually get a license to function, you have to have an affiliation with a commercial, volunteer, or career EMS operational program.
Now, I've got no experience and I'd like to become a paramedic. Mm-hmm. How would that work?
So at CCBC, you would, first of all, have to be an emergency medical technician. We don't have a requirement for how long you're an emergency medical technician. You can go right from EMT class into paramedic class. We're fine with that. You do, however, have to have completed an algebra course and 1 year or one semester of anatomy and physiology. Once you've completed the math and the anatomy and physiology, you can apply to the program through our CAS or Central Application System. The applications are due by June 1 of each year for the following fall. So, for instance, people who are coming into this fall's class had to apply by June 1 of this year, and we've been through interviews with them. They will be accepted into the program, and then the program is 21 months. And we go through all 21 months. We don't take any breaks. So it's fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring. So one of the things that we do recommend highly is that if you're going to take the paramedic course, you should not be doing anything else of any great consequence, because you need to devote the time to study the clinicals that go along with it. It is an intense course. It is medicine. You are going to be responsible for somebody's life when you get done. So we want you to make sure that you've done well in the program, and so consequently, in that time period, we want you to try and concentrate on just becoming a paramedic.
Could you go more into what the application process is like?
Sure. The application process is relatively simple. You apply to the college first. Again, that can be done through our website, www.ccbcmd.edu. Then you can go to the EMT homepage, and that's simple to get to. Simply go to the college website, type in EMT into the information box, and it'll come, and the EMT program will come up. Click on the EMT program, and on the right-hand side is our application link. That will take you to the CAS system, and you apply through the CAS system, as I said, by June 1 of each year. And the CAS system is relatively simple to go through. It requires basic biographical information. You have to upload your EMT card. If you've taken any courses elsewhere from other colleges, you have to upload an unofficial transcript, and that type of thing. And then our selected admissions office will notify you of the interview. The interview is simply a chance for us to get to know you and you to get to know us, give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might want to ask about the program, and for us to give you a little bit of information about what's coming up over the next 21 months. So that's the application process for the paramedic program. Like I said, EMT, we teach it 3 times a year, fall, spring, and summer. It's open enrollment and does not require any application. Simply apply to the college and register for the course you're in, and go from there.
Now, I know you said the paramedic program is 21 months long. Could you go over the class structure for that?
Sure. We have, very similar to the emergency medical technician class, the paramedic classes are day and night, so that, for instance, if we have somebody who is working a career, they can come to school either day or evening. So we try and accommodate everybody's schedule. Typically right now what we have is Monday and Wednesday from 9 until 1, and Tuesday, Thursday from 6 until 10. And the classes are mirrored. So the same thing you get on Monday, Wednesday, you get on Tuesday, Thursday. As I said before, we don't take any breaks. So the courses run every semester for approximately 2 years. And this is simply because the depth and breadth of the knowledge that you have to attain, and because of the clinical requirements, we try and get you in and get you out as quickly as we possibly can. Otherwise, it might take 3 or 4 years to get you through the program, and that's just entirely too much time. So, given that we meet 2 days a week with the clinical requirements, and obviously, people who are coming through our program, most of the people who come through our program are working, and so they have, work lives, they have social lives, and so consequently we try and make it as convenient as we possibly can to allow for people who have, other things going on, that they can, do those things as well and be successful in our program at the same time.
Is there anything that you would recommend as far as within the application process to make people more successful or better their chances of getting accepted?
Well, one of the things that I mentioned was that we don't require that you have been an EMT for any length of time, but we do know that if you have some EMT experience as an emergency medical technician and you have some patient care experience, getting through paramedic school will be a little bit easier. So, while we won't hold you back, we often tell our EMT students, if you want to apply to the program, that's great, but you ought to get out in the field and get some experience for a year and then apply to the program. This will also give you a chance to complete the anatomy and physiology and the math class, the algebra class. And we want you to be successful in those, because math, arithmetic, and EMS is, as you well know, is very important because of drug calculations, weight calculations, temperature calculations, and so forth. And you can't know what's wrong with the human body unless you know how the human body works normally. So having the anatomy and physiology is really important. So we really recommend those people who are really interested in becoming good paramedics to have that math and that anatomy and physiology out of the way first.
Now, are there any things that are kind of unforeseen that are required of the students, such as health insurance or inoculations?
All of our students are required to have an affiliation. They will have to go through a background check. They will have to go through a drug test. They will have to have a physical, especially if they're over the age of 40. If they're under the age of 40, it can be self-reported, but if they're over the age of 40, they have to have a physical by a Maryland licensed physician